over the weekend, Shams popped it out there on all of our handheld devices and computers that LeBron is opting into his $52.6 million option for the upcoming season. And he got it from Rich Paul, the CEO of Clutch Sports, who was sitting here just a couple weeks ago saying that he and LeBron were going to sit down and talk about the future. And obviously they did. And Shams, in this tweet, pulled a quote from the Rich Paul statement to ESPN that I'm not going to read off the tweet. I want to read off the statement because I want to put it completely into context. Rich Paul told ESPN LeBron wants to compete for a championship. He knows the Lakers are building for the future. Now, those two sentences would normally start a "we're not opting in." That would say we're opting out, right?
That's where it seems like.
Right. He wants a championship, and he knows the Lakers are building for the future.
Doesn't sound like now is the championship.
Right. Correct. Right? So then it continues. He understands that, but values a realistic chance of winning it all. We are very appreciative of the partnership that we've had for 8 years with Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka, and consider the Lakers as a critical part of his career. So I would, like, if you placed that statement in front of me, that would be a goodbye statement.
He gone.
Oh, yeah. That's what that
Right. If you did not tell me that this was in conjunction with saying I'm going back to the Lakers, I would say that that was, if you placed that statement in front of me and said, here's the statement from Rich Paul. Wow. What is LeBron going to do? Opt in or opt out? I would have said opt out. Like, where's the opt in part of that statement? Other than the fact that they appreciate talk about the relationship in the past. The Lakers are preparing for the future. LeBron wants to win championships. He wants a viable, credible option for a championship. Right? Dorian Finney-Smith says, I'm not coming back yet. I mean, I could still, but I'm not taking the option route to opt in.
Opt in and returning are not mutually inclusive.
Well, again, this reads like he's leaving or giving the Lakers a shot in the first couple of months of the season before trade deadline hits, and then send me somewhere else so I can win a championship before I'm out of here.
Or he likes somewhere else right now.
Or he likes where he is and thinks that even though they know they're building for the future, you've got 2 weeks to show me in the next, like, what are you planning on doing? Lakers have a ton of expiring contracts, but the expiring contracts include someone like Austin Reeves, who one would think would be a championship piece to the Lakers if they have a shot at becoming a champion this year with LeBron and Luka. The slimmer Luka, the man who's on Spike Zempic. Right? Tell me I'm wrong. That's the way I'm interpreting this, is that it could go in a million different directions, but without the context of this is him opting back in, I would have thought, if I guessed blindly, like a blind read test, I would have thought he gone. So we call in our man, I believe, is completely fluent in this sort of language. Dave McMenamin returns to the Rich Eisen Show, our friend from ESPN. Good to see you, Dave. How are you?
Felt like that line from Zoolander Mugatu says, is everybody taking crazy pills?
Yeah.
Having read that statement from Rich Paul and trying to parse through it, speaking to other teams around the league, everybody's scratching their head right now because we've seen how Rich Paul has managed one of his clients that want to be out. There's no shyness. There's no run around the rosy about making it clear that there's a trade request. That's how Anthony Davis ended up on the Lakers in the first place. Is he wanted out of New Orleans and we wanted to go team up with LeBron James in Los Angeles. This is a very roundabout way to me for Clutch to put some pressure upon the Lakers to team build and make themselves better in the short term. The problem is, let's say they fail at that task. We won't know the result of how much they got better until the next week or two, right? Well, meanwhile, all these other teams, they're trying to build their teams without any certainty of LeBron James coming to them. And so let's say after 2 weeks, he says, you know what, I do want out. Please send me, here's the teams I'd like to go to. All those other teams have been spending the last several weeks, if not the months ahead of time, planning for these several weeks, getting their team better for next year with LeBron James not in the picture. And so to me, like, I think it's much ado about nothing. And we see LeBron James in a Laker uniform next year.
Huh. So then what's the, yeah. Because, I mean, he opted in. Like, he's coming. He's not going anywhere. To the point where I don't know. So if they don't give him a viable chance with their moves over the next 2 weeks, then at the very least he leaves with the Lakers with resources based on the trade he's going to ask for. Is this like you know what I mean? Like I'm searching for the through line here that to make this all square up, and you're basically saying the rest of the association's like we don't have the answer. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Dave?
I mean, so in the statement, right, it's LeBron wants to have the opportunity to maximize whatever years he has left and compete for championships. How many championship contenders out there just have assets that they can hand over to the Lakers in terms of that would help the Lakers with where they stand in their, they're not quite a rebuild, but in their pursuit of building around Luka Doncic? Like, yeah, I know there's a package that's been floating around on X of the Knicks could put together OG Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson. I mean, sure, I guess you could have several permutations of what potential trades could look like, but again, like when teams consider taking on someone like LeBron James, like there is multiple months of decision making and meetings and roster kind of construction, theoretical conversations. It usually doesn't just plop on their plate in this fashion. Now, of course, you could say, well, hey, it's LeBron James. You got to have the conversation if you're the Warriors front office or the Clippers front office or the Knicks or the Heat, et cetera, or the Dallas Mavericks. But at the end of the day, knowing that it's probably, 2 years max of LeBron James left, 3 years max of LeBron James, he decides to play a quarter century in the NBA. What type of long-term assets would you give up in order to acquire him? And so, again, this is it's been a head scratcher over the last 24 hours. I think one thing it certainly has achieved is that LeBron James is the first name out of everybody's mouth when you discuss free agency. And that's one heck of a way to stay relevant as you go into year 23 of your NBA career.
Well, I mean, to be honest, though, Dave, his relevance is seen on the court, right? I mean, like if he was, we see what Desmond Bane went for, right? We've seen what Bridges went for last year. We've seen, what Durant just went for, right? So you look at LeBron's play last year, you absolutely can see that he would be worth assets to return. I just don't know. Is there any conversation about what it would be if he was, in fact, traded because he wants to be traded after what he sees the Lakers do over the next couple weeks? Dave?
I haven't had anyone suggest what it would be. Now, certainly he's second team All-NBA last year.
Right.
That puts him in the conversation for top 10 player in today's game. Anyone who watched that Minnesota Timberwolves series, you saw just how much of a guy who is willing to do whatever it takes to win. There was games in that series where he was giving all of his effort defensively, games when Luka Doncic was under the weather. He's given all of his effort offensively. He played over 40 minutes a game in that series at the age of 40 years old. So he's still an incredible player. My point of my last thing I was telling you is that, like, we don't know how much is left of him being an incredible player. Not that he's going to fall off the ledge. I think so long as he's suiting up for any NBA team, he's going to be a very, very productive NBA player. Just like he might not play much longer. So you might play a year. And so you're going to give up long-term assets to get 1 year of LeBron. That's why there's, that could limit his value on an open trade market. Another team, when I rattled off some teams there, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're currently in the second apron. So they'd have to make moves just to get off of salaries in order to give themselves a chance to then make a trade offer for to the Lakers to get LeBron. So it's pretty muddled right now. On the other hand, you can go play with a 26-year-old superstar and Luka Doncic, stay in the same city where his son, second son Bryce, is about an hour away on a flight playing college basketball. His other son's on the Los Angeles Lakers. Like, can we underscore that point? His son is his teammate. And his wife and daughter live in the city too, and he has business interests all over Los Angeles. Again, I could be shocked, a couple weeks from now when the Lakers free agency is all settled and done with, and that statement from Rich Paul ends up portending LeBron's exit. I could be shocked. We'll see. I still see every realistic pathway leading to LeBron James suiting up for the Lakers.
Last one for you on this subject matter, Dave. You see the answer of like, hey, if you want to have a championship team in Los Angeles, opt out and sign for less money. Is that even doable? I mean, league rules and aprons and all. I don't know. I mean,
it's not doable now. He opted in, so
right.
So that's over and done with. It's also like it wasn't even something that the Lakers considered broaching with LeBron out of respect. Like LeBron James, again, we were talking about a guy who's second team All NBA in his 22nd season. We all saw what he did in the playoffs. He still immensely impacts winning and immensely impacts business. The Lakers recognize, like among every team in the NBA, quite frankly, it recognizes this. That last television rights deal that Adam Silver is able to, sign to a multi-billion dollars and bring in new partners like Amazon and NBC. That gets done on the back of the work of LeBron James over the last 10 years or so. Truly being, I like to use the kind of comparison to the Truman Show. He's handed over his life to have this fascinating product of the NBA and him be the centerpiece of that story for the last decade plus. And yeah, I mean, to suggest that he needs to take a pay cut at this point is ridiculous when you consider it for business considerations and also basketball considerations. So he's still a tremendous player that gets it done.
Yeah, and plus, if I just bought the Lakers for, how much, the new ownership group bought the Lakers for and valued it at $10 billion, the last thing you're going to do is send LeBron James somewhere else. I mean, I listen, the aprons and all that sort of stuff, it just gets confusing to the regular fan. But this just smacks of just go ahead and hit free agency. What can the Lakers do in free agency? Walk me through free agency and what they can do to actually make this more palatable for a championship run and not just rebuild around Luka, Dave.
Yeah, so you briefly mentioned Dorian Finney-Smith, who they traded for back in December, sent 3 second-round picks and D'Angelo Russell to Brooklyn to get him. He had left ankle issues that caused him to miss some games. He got surgery on that ankle in the offseason. But he really had some bright moments for the Lakers in the second half of the season. He was one of the guys that not only Luka Doncic trusted from his time in Dallas, but JJ Redick really trusted him when JJ cut down his rotation in the playoffs to 5 guys. That was one of his 5 guys. Now, he had an option for $15.4 million for next season. He opted out. His representative, Michael Tellem, is trying to find some long-term security for Dorian. He's 5 kids, 32 years old. As I mentioned, the ankle injury. This is a critical juncture of his career to try to stack up some guaranteed money. That could occur with the Lakers. The Lakers aren't off the table at this point, but if he was to go somewhere else, that opens up the full mid-level exception for the Lakers. They would either have the taxpayer mid-level exception if Dorian stayed, which is around $7 million, or the full mid-level of $14 million if he was to leave, plus the biannual exception, which is another $5 million contract that the Lakers would have at their disposal in free agency. So as great as Dorian is, and he's really well liked, he's a two-way player. He's a great corner 3-point shooter. It's great for spacing when you have guys like LeBron and Luka Doncic on the court. All that said, they could get $14 million in free agency and another $5 million in free agency. And maybe that's 3 players that they can get to come to their team versus, you'd only have two with Dorian staying and the $7 million taxpayer mid-level exception. So, it was described to me as if Dorian left, that would be plan B. Plan A for the Lakers would be to keep Dorian Finney-Smith, but if he goes elsewhere, then the Lakers have those two avenues in terms of compensation that they can go out in the market. You got to get a center. That's number one. Got to get a center. And then from there, you'll probably need some more wing help if Dorian leaves.
Dave McMenamin here on the Rich Eisen Show. So the big splash, the draft with trades and craziness didn't really materialize. So is that going to happen in the new league year, or there's just not going to be big names on the move? Giannis is going to stay. He's not in play. What do you got for me, Dave?
You think about it, leading up to the draft, though, we had Kevin Durant,
yes.
We had Desmond Bane, we had Kristaps Porzingis, we had Drew Holiday.
Yes.
I mean, again, one of those is a huge name. The other three are significant players. Yeah, draft night was more quiet than I think many of us anticipated. Mark Williams was traded again. This time, Phoenix has not rescinded the deal, last I checked. So
nice.
They got the center that the Lakers said no to. But other than that, it was just a lot of draft pick movement. And so far, as we lead into the official start of free agency, most of the drama has been around player options and either opting out and extending, picking it up, or announcing them to be on the free agent market. But yeah, there's not a ton of big names in play out there. We've talked about Giannis several times when I've come on your program, and so everything I've heard at this point remains the same, that there's no guarantee that he's going to want to get out of there. And I think, since even the last time we spoke about it, the Indiana Pacers are now looking at life without Tyrese Halliburton for a year. And so Giannis in the Eastern Conference looks around and he says, well, Cleveland's the team that flamed out. New York will be formidable. But you look at Boston without Jason Tatum and Indiana without Tyrese Halliburton, like I'm right there with some tweaks around the roster. So again, don't count anything out. It is the NBA, but I'd be surprised the way things are trending that Giannis Antetokounmpo is not on the Bucks next year.
So can you just at least tell me, based on your sources, Dave, before I let you go, that the Knicks will have a coach next year? Will they? The Knicks will hire a coach before next season.
TBD.
Dave, what are your sources saying? What are you saying?
It's starting to look like a viable coaching search. Bring in guys like Mike Brown. Certainly had a lot of success in this league. Taylor Jenkins was instrumental in building that Grizzlies program. Mike Onori, I've gotten to know over the last several seasons, covering the Wolves in the playoffs. Super bright guy, very sharp, and gets along, just has a way about getting along with people, and obviously has that history with Karl Anthony Towns. And so that pool that we're hearing about right now is certainly a group. I think they would kind of have success with any one of those names, quite frankly, if they were to go in one of those directions. And so, yeah, it's starting to look like we're not gonna have to, depend on Whoopi Goldberg to come out of the stands as a fan and coach them next year.
Okay, good to know. Although I did see the name of a woman cross my my phone this week. Is it true that the Knicks have reached out to Dawn Staley? Because that one kind of had me at hello, if that's true. Dave, is that true?
Yeah, I saw the same rumor. I haven't confirmed that. I don't think ESPN has confirmed that as well. Dawn Staley is incredible. Obviously, anyone who's paid attention to the women's game, everything she did as a player and that South Carolina building juggernaut.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be fascinating to see. My concern for Dawn, there will be a woman in our lifetime, I think, to break the barrier, be a head coach in professional sports. And I think the NBA may be the most apt league to have it happen, considering their progressive kind of background as a league.
Right.
However, you'd love it to be a situation where you're not stepping into there's the expectation of getting to the finals and winning a championship and ending a 30-year drought.
I don't know. Maybe she's the one to do it, Dave. You know what I mean?
Maybe
like,
that's what you need, right?
Yeah,
maybe that's what you need.
I saw that, and I'm like, that's outside the box. Now you're talking. Now you're talking in terms of, trying something with a lion-hearted individual, a champion on so many different levels. And I don't know. That would be something else, if as opposed to knocking on the doors of other teams for people who aren't available. You know what I mean? Like that would be interesting to me, Dave. For real.
Well, I mean, listen, I would applaud the Knicks if they do interview Don Staley. That remains to be seen if that's going to happen. Again, I don't think ESPN has
right
confirmed that report that's been out there, but.
Never know.
Again, you got to look at that 360.
Yeah.
Dawn coming into a situation where she would be able to build a team in her own kind of vision, to me would maybe be a better chance of success. But who knows? Maybe like she's proved an Olympic stage, WNBA stage, NCAA championship stage for women's basketball. She's been aces. So maybe Madison Square Garden is calling her name.
Dave McMenamin, thanks for the time. Really appreciate you coming on and helping interpret a very cryptic statement from Rich Paul on behalf of LeBron James and so much more. You're the man. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, Rich.
You got it. Dave McMenamin here on The Rich Eisen Show. Catch The Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.